Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the 22 Panels Milestone Book Club, where I'm joined, as always, by the brothers Anderson, not related. I noticed Ted won an award, and I can't remember the name of it. It's it's
Oh,
it's
cool.
got it's plastered on the new edition of Side Effects. Which award was that, Ted?
It was the I am completely blanking on the name. Which
Clearly.
makes me feel really terrible because I feel like they gave it to us. It was from a nonprofit based out of Denver. It is from Pop Culture Classroom. I
Oh,
want to
that's
make sure I
right.
get
I love Pop Culture
Oh
Classroom.
yeah,
Marcus has done
yes.
I've
work for
worked
them.
with them.
It was
Yeah,
from their Excellence in Graphic Literature Awards. So yeah, Excellence in Graphic
that's
Literature.
awesome.
I think we won the award for best young adult fiction.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh man, you kind of
Awesome.
surprised me. I should have had that more at my fingertips.
Yeah, see, I like it when any of my friends win awards, but I like Pop Culture Classroom a lot. Marcus
Oh,
has
Yeah,
done work for Pop Culture Classroom. My friend Carl Krumholtz has done work for Pop Culture Classroom.
yeah, that's right.
Um, it's just a really cool outlet.
yeah, I've been getting into
So
their
was
organizations and I want to look more at their stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
and yes,
yeah,
I don't know if it's been like fully announced and we should be talking about like if I should be promoting it on anywhere, but they are going into a second printing of Side Effects. And this one will have
yes,
the
it
little.
has been announced. That's how I
Okay,
knew
it
that you
has.
had an award because
Oh,
they
nice.
slapped the
Yeah,
Yes,
the winner on
on the cover, which is
the
nice
cover.
because I needed to get more copies of it, and they were like, "Oh, we'll just send you the old copies because we're not going to sell those anymore." So I just got a whole bunch of the ones. But
There
hey,
you
that's great.
go.
that's great. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
thank you very much for remembering. That's yeah, thank you very much.
So every
Yeah,
once in a while, my
congrats.
brain works properly. I
Well, and
You're
mean,
doing
simple.
fine.
don't hold me to that because my brain stopped functioning like 6 or 7 hours ago, and
Are
I
we?
was
Are you
hoping it
also
would be back
starting
for the show.
Are you also
Um,
starting the school year and you're getting?
I'm 3 weeks in.
Oh, you're three. Ooh,
Oh
ooh,
Yeah,
wow.
I'm 3 weeks in. This is my
oh
first long
boy.
weekend.
Plus concussion brain, or has that already
Right,
faded? Yeah,
right.
it's
Well, no, it's getting much better,
it's
but
still,
yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's been replaced by school brain. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
it's still the what I love, and I say this with all due respect to my coworkers, is I am being reminded that me at 70% is worth almost anybody else in my role at 100%.
Nice.
I am
All right.
really good at my job. I'm not trying to be big headed as much as I just, because
You're
of my own mental health issue.
you're
I
proud of the work
haven't
you can put in.
gotten
Yeah.
the pieces to go along with my intellect and my problem solving skills and whatnot, which means
Mhm.
that almost invariably I am ridiculously overqualified for any job I have except on paper. Um, so it's nice to be able to go, oh, I'm at 60%, but that's really okay.
Yeah. It's like being
Nice.
a gym
Yeah.
teacher anywhere else. No, I
Um,
kid.
I mean,
Kidding
so
for all the gym
frustrating.
teachers out there.
I can't wait to feel like I'm at 100% cognitive capacity. Um, Really the most annoying things now is, I mean, like I probably hit 80% sometimes,
Hmm.
but like uptake time is much longer. Rather than immediately like hearing something and immediately pulling all the threads together and going, oh, did you think about this and this? And it's like I have to play it back at super slow speed in my head and then figure out if we've moved on too far for my comment to be. And then once I'm engaged, I'm good until I'm not. And then it's not like I fade out. It's like somebody pulls the plug.
Just immediately collapse like a
Yeah,
like a
it's like,
marionette with the strings
what
cut.
were we talking about?
Yeah, well, I'm about to start hitting the school brain nonsense because
So,
yeah, first
so
day of school
yeah.
tomorrow. Yeah,
Uh,
that's
uh,
Yeah.
oh,
First day of week 4 for me tomorrow.
oh boy, yeah. Also,
So,
I was going to mention one other thing, which is that just to also give Marcus a shout out, I checked, and one of the books that they got last year when I wasn't actually at the school
Hmm.
was Black Panther Party. So we got that on the
Oh,
shelves now.
cool.
oh, I
So
will
yeah.
give Marcus a shout out too.
All right, nice.
Apparently, my school library had a copy of Black Panther Party, but whoever checked it out liked it so much that it didn't come back.
Hey man, that's an honor to me, man.
So they
That's
need
the
to
highest
reorder
honor.
it. They plan to reorder it.
It's in somebody's permanent collection. I like that.
There, yeah.
but it didn't come home.
Yeah.
Well, it's got a new home now. That's how it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, this week we kind of switched things up a little bit for this club, because rather than go into the classic Milestone world, we decided to
get all new.
Exactly. We decided to
Vita
switch things up.
Ayala.
Yes. With Static Season 1, part of
Nicholas
the
Draper Ivory. Or Ivy, rather.
Ivy. Yep.
Ivy, yeah. And some crisscross for the first couple of issues.
And because it has the Milestone Infinite issue number 0, was that its full title?
Yeah.
It's got some Reginald Hudlin and some Dennis Cohen in here too, and some Bill Sienkiewicz.
At that too.
Yeah, it's some fantastic stuff in here.
Oh.
Yes, Milestone Returns Infinite Edition 0.
I mean, Marcus, I'm glad you talked me into finally like reading some before we get to it, because there's like multiple compendiums of the old stuff to get to, and well, I've been busy. I almost read like all of it before. Like I had intended to read more than just the Static, just because I enjoyed the Static read so much. But then life.
No, I totally understand.
So we'll need another excuse to read
like Hardware, Icon.
Well, I think Icon and Rocket is the next series technically in the reading order. So
okay, I'm ready.
I'm interested to see that one, because Icon and Rocket was the one that, just from what I was getting out of these issues, seemed to have changed the most. But that's that's another conversation.
Here's my $1 million question. There's only 3 in that first season. Do we want to take the next 2 months before we transition into the? I mean, on one side, I am looking forward to getting back to regular, or to the old school Milestone universe. On the other side, we're at a good stopping point.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
fair.
to me, I mean, that works. Yeah, like I would totally.
Yeah,
I mean, I've read all of the new stuff, so but I really enjoyed rereading these. So any excuse to reread Icon and Rocket and
So
Hardware,
why don't we do that? Why don't we do that first season, then go back for Compendium 2? By then, the second season should be done, because second season is still ongoing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So by the time we actually get done with the Compendium 2, second season should be done, and we can do that.
Yeah.
And we can have kind of a rhythm.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. See, I came up with a good idea. Concussion Brain held at bay.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so we got our 6 issues. Well, 6 issues plus the Infinite issue, which I really appreciate that that's in all the collections, because it introduces seemingly everything.
The Big Bang, yeah.
Yeah. It gives us the Big Bang. It gives us Curtis's thing as Hardware, where he's on the run from Alva, which is an interesting take. And then also Icon and Rocket being more of an international thing, which is, again, and see, this is the first of the new Milestone stuff I've read. I have not seen any of the other stuff. I don't tend to get issues as they come out. I hadn't been paying attention to the Milestone Return stuff, knowing that I was going to read it eventually. But so this is my first exposure to like the new versions of all these characters, and it was interesting. I want us to kind of get into it, because
I had read the first issue of Static, but I hadn't read the Infinity issue, and I hadn't read the rest of Static. So I mean, it was essentially my first foray. And I liked some of the decisions a lot.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about this the general direction, and I think I told you guys, like when I originally brought it up, as we've been making our way through the original runs, that I was simultaneously, reading the new Milestone, while reading the original. And it's like, a lot of times there's the debates about like, oh, is the original better, is the old, newer better, et cetera, et cetera. But I just think
that's the wrong question.
I just dig it all. I think, and it's interesting, like it's spiritually aligned, but there's just like a lot of new choices being made. I mean, we just really get into like Static, but
Yeah.
like, yeah, Virgil as a character, it's cool because it's like, I think the core of who Static is there, but like both in the inciting event, right? The inciting event that even precipitated the Big Bang in this iteration of Milestone, was inherently political,
Yes.
and um this first arc of Static really sees him, kind of stepping into a leadership role. Like he's got a sense of social responsibility. And it's not necessarily that, 93 Static didn't, but he was a kid, right? And like
Right.
Yeah. I
and
sorry.
he yeah, go ahead. Sorry. All I was gonna say is, like, like you saw, like, as issues would come up, like say with Commando X and things like that, and like, the debates that would arise out of those just events, right, in the original run, it kind of led to him grappling with, social issues and where he stood on them and everything. But and I think there's definitely that with this version of Static, but he's kind of coming in with a certain um he steps right into that leadership role, and he feels like
Yeah.
a sense of responsibility, and
And,
there's a team
Yes.
dynamic that's happening there.
right.
And it's
I think
also
there's.
he's
Go ahead.
sorry. He from the start is getting his head into a more, I don't know how to put this better, but like a more political, he's thinking about
Yeah.
things in a more, he's being confronted by the system earlier. Um,
Mhm.
which actually is sort of a joke because in the first issue of the original series, he was confronted
Right.
by system officers, but that's a different thing. I'm
Yeah.
trying to make a joke here. No, but like those first few issues, because after I read this, I went back and I reread like the first 6 or so issues of the original Static.
Hmm.
And in those
Look at
first few,
you doing homework.
well, I was really interested because I was trying to remember, like, oh yeah, when did this show up, and how,
Yeah.
when did Hot Streak first show up? And it is like from page like 2, Hot Streak is page 1, he's mentioned
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
least. And
No.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
in the original series, he's so Static is already kind of a thing in the first one, like page 1. He shows up and he
Right.
beats up a bunch of
Yeah.
guys
You
at the arcade
you
who are
jump
hassling
right in.
freedom. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we get a little bit of his backstory, but then he tries to fight Hot Streak, gets completely whipped.
Hmm.
That's a bad choice of word. He gets completely beaten up. I was trying to search for him. Anyway,
It's all good. It's all good.
There's no good choice. No good choice of words.
but he gets completely beaten up and then is like curled up in a fetal position and like begging him to stop. It's very, it's humiliating, and he is sort of trying to slowly, build up his reputation, but at the same time there's this realization that no, he's a teenager, he's still figuring this out.
He's a
But
teenager and also Hot Streak, aka what, was it
Freddie
Franklin?
Frank Frankie,
Yeah, yeah. It'll come back to me. But Francis was already his bully, like
yes,
pre-powers. So it was interesting because, Virgil was a match for him. Static was a match for him, technically on paper, right? But it was because
it was a
there was just this
psychological.
psychological thing, yeah, from,
Yes.
yeah, so.
Yeah, and it's also like, so I mean those first few issues we are getting like so the first 2 issues are Hot Streak basically. The second 2 issues are Holocaust, and it's Static starting to realize, oh, there's sort of bigger political issues going around here. There's people who are
Mhm.
organizing bang babies. Should I be a part of this? Should I have joined in on this and be any sort of, you know, warrior in this particular battle? And it
Right.
was him kind of come to terms with, well, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I'm on the wrong side. He eventually realizes, hey, Holocaust is a murderer and weird, and
Right.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
So and then the issues after that are the Commando X storyline,
Hmm.
which is a little goofy in some ways. Like Commando X himself as a character was a little bit of a kind of wacky, a wacky right wing nut job. Not even right wing. That's not quite the right word. He was a
Well,
radical. He was a radical black nationalist with some very strange ideas of.
but it's interesting because I just, even in real life, right? Like, there are times where sometimes, and I Lord knows I'm the last person that plays the false equivalency of, like, oh, both sides are bad, et cetera, et cetera. Because the right is the true evil. That being said, right, like, there are times where, like, the far left really, it just comes all the way around until it pretty much starts sounding like the far right, like,
Yes.
so to your
Yeah,
point.
and But and it's also, I mean, that third arc then starts from a very political point, which is it starts with the riot between, the black church and the synagogue next door, and like
Right.
it's an intensely political conflict. I forgot how much I liked that scene, because that
Yeah.
scene opens and Static's in the middle of it and he's trying to calm people down, but
Right.
it's clearly can't stop it. And what does stop it is when the priest and the rabbi come out and they're holding hands and they do a joint
Exactly.
speech to, yeah, and it becomes clear that there's bigger forces that Virgil is only half aware of. And like,
Right.
yeah, and then they tell him, I forgot about this part too, but they tell him like, yeah, we're doing a big, union
Rally the next day.
rally
Yeah.
thing, and he's like, can you come give a speech? He's like, oh, maybe I'll have to think about it. And then it shows him practicing. He's like, well, it's fine. I'm not my candidacy for president of the United States. He's all full of himself, and
Right.
but he's still joking. He's a kid who's slowly getting, and I'm using this in a very in its original meaning. He's a kid who's slowly getting woke. He is a kid who's slowly realizing the importance of the systems around him and the dangers that he's facing, beyond just, oh, there's a racist bully at school, to, oh, there's literally an entire entrenched system that's been working all this time to keep me and people who look like me down, and realizing there are different ways to fight it and how to react to it. Whereas the new Static, and this put me off for a while until I realized it, it's starting from the jump with more of an awareness of those systemic injustices. Because I mean,
I have a
literally,
lot to say about that, but go ahead.
well, yeah, I mean, I'm just like, from the start, it starts at a Black Lives Matter protest, which is an interesting choice. I
You said it
kind
put you off?
No, it's, well, okay. That wasn't the part that put me off. The part that put me off was that I like Static as being like the Joker, trickster, Spider-Man type. I like him having the quips. I like him being the funny guy. And Static as a character in the new version isn't as much of that yet. He still kind of tells jokes. He still kind of runs his mouth. He's funny. He has his cool powers. He's he's more conflicted about what he wants to do and how he wants to do it. And there's less of a, I mean, really, I forgot how much I liked seeing those two sides of Static in that first issue of the original series, where on the one hand, he's this, over the top, kind of loudmouth kid, he's throwing guys into arcade machines and cracking jokes. And then the first time he, confronts his bully, he's like cuddling up and trying to defend himself. And you see this, just how vulnerable and fragile he is, and how he's developing as a person when he learns how to fight back and become a better person. Whereas the Static in the new version is more of a, he's less of a jokester. He's less of a, I'm trying to think how to put this exactly. He's more politically aware. Like he's more,
So
yeah, you take over. I'm still
yeah.
processing.
No, it's all good. I saw this is my take. Is that it's I actually do not see him necessarily as less of a jokester, more in in the sense of, because yes, he does still have the quips and everything. I think the scenario that he jumps into initially, and like the level of responsibility that he has. So for instance, like in like the, say, the first 6 issues of the original run, you know, he was solo, and it was, there was danger, right? And there was definitely challenges that he was up against, but he wasn't necessarily responsible for others. Like in this one, and
Yes.
I don't want to get away from the thread that I'm discussing, but I do want to. I think this is a good point to mention that his family was very much a part of, at the heart of the original story, but even more so here.
Yes.
And if you think about what happens at the end of issue 1, um,
Yeah.
where,
We're,
like, where hot, and look, hot streak, the issue 1 ends with hot streak Francis coming to confront Virgil and try to get payback, like specifically outside of Virgil's home, where
yeah.
his family rests. And
Yeah.
you know um I don't know about you guys, but I felt that the offense in my soul of a white villain coming to the home of a, of a black family, and ending subsequently burning it down, you know what I mean?
That's,
Like
yeah.
in vengeance for his hurt white pride,
Yeah.
and so, like, and that, I know Vita, they specifically knew the imagery and the history that they were playing with there. But like, my point is, like, I mean, if you look at the situation that Virgil has jumped into immediately, I think there is that to me, that's the difference, because he is the joke side is there. And actually, one thing I did appreciate, because I did notice what you were talking about, like as I was reading issues, say like 1 and 2, I was like, all right, like there's far less of the humor, because the humor
Yeah.
in the original series would take place both in the quips and the jokes, but it would also just be these situations that Virgil ended up in, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And like the stuff where he the well, oh, we haven't even gotten to like his dating situation with Daisy. Yeah, but I've been reading ahead. But anyway,
that's right. That's Daisy. I completely
yeah,
okay. I
yeah,
missed that they were the same character. Anyway, sorry, that's a whole
right.
other thing.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, but okay, I'm kind of all over the place. That what
Yeah,
I'm trying to say though is that basically you know, it's real. It like shit is getting real immediately, you know what I mean? And he does feel a sense of responsibility for the other, you know, bang babies and everybody who, because it's like there's an overlap with just the even in the derogatory terms that are being hurled around, you know what I mean, at like the children of the bang, and just the ones that are
yeah,
thrown around to black people at the time, thug, etc. You know what I mean?
yes.
And so like, and so he feels it like on both sides, which, you know, one critique which has been leveled at X-Men over the years, which I I've been one of the people leveling it as, and I love X-Men. X-Men is like one of my favorite comics of all time. But God bless Stan and Jack. They were doing this in the 1960s. You know what I mean? They were white brothers trying to, you know, fight the good fight in the 60s. That being said, um, they were making an allegory, you know, for racism that didn't really have any, you know, non-white characters.
It
You
was
know,
all
I
a
mean,
bunch of conventionally attractive white people living in a
exactly.
mansion
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in New York State. Yeah, it's
Right. And subsequently, you know, we've gotten more diverse
Isn't
X-Men.
I'm sorry,
But
I wasn't listening for a second. Isn't that the real racism? I said, isn't that the real racism? I've been listening a lot to Vivek Ramaswamy lately,
oh
and I've
God.
heard that
oh,
the
don't
anti-white
No,
comment.
racism.
no,
No,
no.
so
No.
like Ted, you know what
That's,
you are trolling me, man. That uh I'm not gonna let you tangent me, man. Like Vivek, oh God. You know, hopefully
Mutants are
that
the
like for people
mutants.
listening to this podcast next year, it'll be a faint
They'll
memory,
be
I
like,
hope.
"Who is this Ramos? What?"
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It just
Uh,
when I saw the clip of Jesse Waters trying to say that black men liked Trump now because they thought he was gangsta
Because he has a mugshot. Yeah,
because he's
that.
got a mug shot and they can relate to him because historically they've
Jesus Christ.
it's
as
true.
a
He says
as this
historically they've been unjustly
as a sole black
indicted for things and now they
as the
can
sole
relate
black
to him.
person on this panel, I'm going to request that we
We'll be done.
We're just gonna veto this. We're
let's
yeah.
not let's just not, for real, for real. Thank you, thank you. Nah, but anyway, my
The
point.
X-Men you were gonna say about
Oh,
X-Men and
X-Men, yeah, yeah,
racism.
yeah, yeah.
X-Men.
So like this is doing, you know, what X-Men didn't initially do, and if I'm being real, hasn't really since, right? Like, I'm sorry about my dog. But
I like dogs.
yeah, I know, but it probably doesn't always make for good podcasting.
Fair.
But you know, like this is doing what I would have liked, many of us would have liked to have seen out of X-Men, which is, you know, addressing both fronts, right? Like addressing the mutant racism and you know, like racism, uh, conventional racism, you know, for lack of a better word. And like
Yeah. There's
it's
a
happening here. Yeah.
there's the only other comparison I could think of was in did anyone else read Ecstatics? The
Yeah.
oh God, was it
Peter Milligan,
yeah, Peter
Mike Allred,
Milligan and
Mike
yeah,
Allred.
yeah, Mike Allred. Yeah, I mean this was early 2000s. That's the only one I could think of off the top of my head where there was a character named can't remember what his friggin' name was, but he was a black mutant, and he said he had this interesting little sequence in one of the early issues where he talks about being both black and a mutant means that he's facing more than just twice the racism and prejudice. And it was an interesting acknowledgement of the ways in which this kind of prejudice would manifest in a world in which people actually did have, horrible superpowers that sometimes they couldn't control and could cause harm. I mean, I always think of also there's a bit I think of in one of Bendis's early issues for Ultimate Spider-Man where they're having a conversation about mutants, and I think it's Kong, the big guy who's a bully, who's actually kind of a nice guy. he says something along the lines of, they inevitably make the comparison to like Jewish people in the Holocaust, and he says something like, yeah, but I don't think the Jews had like laser arcs shooting out of their eyes, and it's like,
that is one of my issues with the imperfection of the Professor X, Magneto, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X analogy, right? Is
yes.
that Malcolm X? Yeah, exactly. But go ahead.
Well, you already mentioned it. It's just that there is the analogy breaks down once you have people who literally can kill
Right.
each other, sometimes unintentionally, or destroy property without having any intention to do. I mean, this is what we
I
see
mean,
with James.
racists believe that,
Sure.
I can do stuff like that probably, but I
Or that
can't.
you have an inclination to do it or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, don't
Right.
But
talk
it's
about Jewish space lasers now. You already shut me
No,
up.
that's
we're
the
not.
space laser. That's something else. But
Oh,
yeah,
you
I
can.
mean, like
There's
in,
no Vivek talk. That's all.
Oh, okay.
in this version, we have Daisy being a little bit different because I actually haven't
Yeah.
read ahead. I don't know if she does end up having powers in the original series.
No, she doesn't.
Yeah, but in here she does, and she can't quite control them, and she can like
Right.
disassemble stuff just by touching it. And she's scared of her powers, she doesn't know how to use them. She doesn't want to have them. It's something that's genuinely a source of distress for her. Whereas for like Static and also for Hot Streak, it's something they revel in. It's something they're like, yeah, I can do this. I can do these cool things. A thing that pops up a couple times, which I wish had been made a little bit more of, was Static keeps talking specifically about how it feels to have like this buzzing under his skin, this constant
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And I wish that it had been a little more. I don't know. I feel like you could connect that to a couple different. I mean, you can connect that directly to like feeling the effects of racism quite physically and like noticeably, but it also could be a metaphor for like, I don't know, ADHD or just like impulsiveness or just being a teenager and seeing all this injustice and not being able to do anything about it. I kind of wish there'd been a little bit more of like connecting that to some larger theme, but I don't know.
Yeah. I read it as, ultimately by his powers, but definitely the subtext that you mentioned was,
yeah.
I picked up on it.
Yeah, I wish that there had been a little more of a concrete connection. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, this Static is a very different Static. He's political also in the sense that, like you said, as the plot goes on, he's put into a role in which he has to be a leader and a not a figurehead, but a figurehead. I mean, he has to be the head of the Big Bang movement, the Bang Babies movement, more or less, kind of by accident.
So yeah, and if I could just jump in, I think
Please.
one important difference, right? Like, because it's been a span of 30 years, and obviously there was, Black people have been dealing with political situations, and sadly too many of the same ones since the beginning, of this country. But that being said, though, there are differences right now, right, in awareness, and obviously, technology has played a role in, because at the time when these original books were coming out, yes, there were Black people dying, unarmed at the hands of police, and all of the same things we're seeing now, but it wasn't necessarily captured on video, and you definitely didn't have anything to the extent of George Floyd being slowly killed for 10 minutes, on video. And so there is a way in which, a kid today, even, and I work with Virgils, like, you know what I mean? Like kids his age and everything. And you know, people are all coming with their own level of being plugged in and understanding. But even some of the kids that aren't like following like on a daily basis, they're aware of a lot of these things on a level that maybe the 92 version of that kid, because teenagers are inherently selfish. You know what I mean? They're into their own world, right? But that being said, like the times are different. And I do think that Vita made some really smart choices in thinking about, like, well, where would Virgil be today? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
what would he have? And actually, the choice, because you brought up some really interesting points, like about Daisy, right, and the difference with Daisy. Whereas in the previous series, Daisy was a regular kid, but in this one, Daisy has powers right out the gate, and the choice to, because in the just quick whatever rerun for everybody, but like if you, in the original series, the inciting event that gave everybody their powers took place at a big gang fight. Like basically all the gangs in Dakota City were gonna throw down and basically vie for supremacy, right, on
Yeah.
this one big night. And that was when the police used the experimental gas that gave everybody their powers. In this series, because it took place at a Black Lives Matter rally, and there's just were all types of people around, not just people who were there to scrap, like all kinds of people got powers. It wasn't
Yeah.
just people who were there for this particular fight. So in some ways it's like a more diverse group of people, have these big bang powers.
And it's also, yeah, I mean that switch from being a gang fight to being a peaceful march. And it's also it's kind of hinted at in this that Virgil is a little bit the reason it became violent. Like he gets into a fight with Hot Streak before they have powers, and that
Right.
leads to a larger fight, and that leads to the police thinking that it's a riot. Like it's kind of hinted that he's
They probably would have anyway, but
yeah, I mean it's the police in American City, yes, but like yeah, but they changed it from it being a big gang fight to it being a peaceful protest. And that's also, I mean, yes, that's part of how the times have changed. Like the original Milestone came out in an era when everybody was worried about gangs are taking over LA, and
Yeah, I was about to say that there is when the original Milestone came out was the era where we believed in super predators.
yes.
Well,
we
who's this
developed.
we?
Well, okay, yeah, let's not say
Universal
we. It
No,
wasn't
I'm
me.
just-
I wasn't. Hey, I was a baby, man. I didn't.
Yeah,
I'm being
I was too young, but we're
There was this pervasive media narrative.
where publicly there wasn't
Folks
actually
believed in super
a
predators.
whole lot of pushback on that narrative.
Yeah, and
It
I mean,
was
like,
the-
some of us were pushing back. But
I didn't
but
say
we
there
weren't-
was
but
no
we weren't being
pushback.
listened to. Well, I'm just saying. I think black people were pushing back. We weren't being listened to. Go
That's
ahead,
true.
though. No, I don't mean to cut you off. All right, go
No,
ahead.
but it is the era where even Jesse Jackson gave the famous quote that every white person wants to repeat, as even Jesse Jackson's afraid of black men, which,
Yep,
which was
yep,
taken
I can-
completely out of context. But
Context matters. Yeah, definitely.
absolutely, but
No, go ahead. I don't mean
where-
to interrupt your thought. Go ahead.
no. I love it because I give it to you too.
Yeah.
And mine's not nearly as educated. Mine's dumbass
Nah, man.
idiot
No, it's
Republican stuff.
well, it was everywhere in the media landscape is the thing, because like
Right, but things that we've learned since then
yeah,
are that
it was
the
blown out of
violence
proportion.
had
It was-
everything to do with leaded gasoline. that the CIA was both selling drugs and guns in the inner cities.
yes, we became
Which
more
is-
aware of it.
Yeah. Well, and I would say like maybe like people like you guys were, but there is there's a shocking amount of America that chooses to not acknowledge that as the
Yeah.
case.
Well,
yes.
but at this, I mean, yes, there's a shocking amount of America that chooses not to acknowledge that. But I mean, the thing about the CIA selling drugs and guns in the inner city is even the people involved aren't denying it anymore. Statute of
Mhm.
limitations is passed and/or they've received their pardons.
Yeah,
Right.
Oliver North
It's
is a paid
not
contributor
something
on
that there's
Fox News.
actually argument over anymore.
Yeah, but when I was saying though about like the idea of this being rooted in that perception of gangs and like LA
Right.
being a wasteland, I mean, I'm thinking of like the media that I consumed when I
Yeah.
was a kid, and also, I mean, for the first time recently, I finally saw Predator 2, which has its merits. It has its merits, but
Right.
it also has this depiction
Predator
of
movies
LA
have
as
merits.
literally
I mean,
just
I haven't
like
seen either one of them all the way through. So
oh, I mean,
can't
the first
speak.
one's good. The second one has reasons to be worth watching, but
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
I won't cut
but-
you off. I have Predator thoughts too, but yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, no, but like it's steeped in this idea of these gangs are so powerful and so on. And when we say gangs, of course, they're always men of color.
The perception, absolutely.
Yeah. Again, and I mean, this is in no way connected to reality. This is connected
Except
to
for Marvel
comics.
Comics, except for Marvel
Yeah.
and DC Comics is conveniently multicultural gangs.
I was about
They
to
were
say
very-
whatever.
they
whenever
were very cautious.
God, whenever I was also recently rereading some old like Mark Grunwald Captain America
Yes,
from like the late
yep.
80s, 90s, and yeah, his gangs are surprisingly multicultural. There's
They
you
were.
know,
I liked it, man. They,
Yeah.
they had a vision that gangs can,
come
find
together and
unity.
over.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
We
they can
are
come
the
together.
world.
Right on.
But yeah, I mean, whenever you see these
So
depictions
wait a
in
minute.
media, or
Wait a
also
minute. Hold
like,
on. I have to make a dumb joke there. So Marcus, your argument is that the CIA was working on racial unity by
oh God,
spreading crack all over Los Angeles.
God,
Wait,
please,
what?
no,
You
no,
took
no.
you
Let's.
that you took the 5 minutes ago discussion and connected it. That's a
That's
bit
how
of a
my brain
reach.
works.
No,
It
I
means
know,
my
I know.
brain's
No,
working
no. Hey,
again.
man, I'm not judging. I'm not judging. But like, yeah, there's a little bit of distance between the two threads. But
There was
Yeah,
distance between the
but
threads. The threads weren't the same in your head.
no, no, not quite. Not in my head.
Okay.
You know,
moving back a little bit on track.
right?
I mean, when I was thinking about, I mean, even just the very premise of the Milestone, of the Big Bang in the original Milestone series, the idea that all the gangs agreed, yeah, let's have one big fight. I mean, that's like one step removed from West Side Story in its depictions of gang life. You know, like it's a very cartoonish in a lot of ways. And I mean,
I mean,
that's
another
not in any
movie that
way.
I haven't actually seen, but isn't that like the Warriors thing?
Yes, it's very much like the
Warriors come
Warriors. I
out and
mean,
play.
this is not in any way to disparage that original version of the Milestone universe, because I think there's obviously a lot of merit to it. I mean, I wouldn't be on a
Right.
podcast where I analyze every issue unless I thought that. But it comes from
And
this
here I
point
thought it was just
of,
because of my pretty face, Ted.
and nobody can see it on the podcast. It's such a shame.
Exactly. I have a perfect
It's a
podcast
crime.
face.
It's a crime.
Oh, the
I,
greatest.
I I usually tell Ted that I mistake you for Fabio all the time, and
Oh,
I mean, so
There you go.
anyone who hasn't seen a picture of Tad, just think of Fabio when you hear him speak. You
There
know
you
what I
go.
mean?
That's all you do. But
That's
yeah,
very
like,
good reference. Most people probably don't know.
but the original Milestone universe
well, I
was,
mean,
it was
if you look at current pictures of Fabio, that might not be as
as
Yeah,
he
far
yeah.
off.
doesn't look
Actually, you're
like he's
you're
aged
more of a
very
Chris
well.
Hemsworth type. So yeah, just think of Thor.
But yeah, that original Milestone universe was using that narrative of these all powerful, not all powerful, but like heavily armed, gangs of urban youths with M80s and machine guns and rocket launchers, and using that imagery as a way to then create these characters who could push back on it. I mean, that was the whole point behind like the Blood Syndicate, is like, yes, these were members of gangs, members of a variety of gangs who then were the main characters. They had a reason to join together. They had political views. They had they had they were the good guys. I mean, they were the protagonists of that series for a very good reason, and it was partly to push back on this idea of, these the
Well,
gang warfare that's ruining our inner cities, which is such a
yeah.
coded racist. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's so much to be said about that, and I mean, we should. So just for because we touched on so many things, but when it comes to the context, and definitely, I think what we're referring to, right, is the what's in the zeitgeist of the time,
Right.
and so the markers of this time, with Black Lives Matter and the increased visibility of just through video footage and phone footage, etc., of the actual violence that have been visited on Black bodies for centuries, it makes it a little harder to ignore the reality. Many do, but it's harder. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And we also and Black people just also have far more avenues, to voice these things. It's interesting because the zeitgeist of '93, and you guys are correct in this, that the discussion is specifically in media narrative and political narratives, etc. Really, gangs were a topic of conversation, uh, oftentimes unjustly, because LA, law enforcement, they had their whole literally on the books laws that were basically like a gang is basically two or more, black people at a time. Like you literally didn't have to have anything that constituted a gang to be pulled in as a gang. You know what I
Yeah, it
mean?
was
There was
used
a
as
lot of
a
problems.
tool of law enforcement to
Yeah.
further crack down on these communities. Yeah.
Yeah. But that being said, like I'm not like fronting like there wasn't actual violence and everything, but again, as I was joking with Tad before about the fact that, like, we were all having different discussions at the time. A lot of times, like for Black people, like we knew that there was a lot more to the situation for why, gangs were happening, and it wasn't like people just woke up one day and was like, hey, I want to go gang. You know what I mean? Like there's way more going on. It's the thing that's frustrating me to no end because America's all about the symptoms, but they don't ever want to look at the causes. You
And they
know,
also there's also a large lack of awareness in white America about the cure because a lot, I mean, the reason that the gang problem, if that's a term that we can use without bursting into laughter, but like the reason that gangs are less of an issue in a lot of ways is because there are a large amount of activists. There are people who work on the streets to de-escalate gang violence, to
right.
help bring people out of the gang lifestyle. There have been social programs. There have been people who have been dedicating their lives to preventing this from ever coming to pass, who don't get movies made about them and
Oh,
who
it's
don't
what,
seek
yeah,
any
it's
sort of
what,
fame for it.
And I
it's what
cannot
drives me
emphasize
crazy.
enough, there's less lead in the air.
Well, I mean, not in the sense of there being less guns sold, because there's more
No,
than
no,
there
no,
ever has
but
been. But
in the sense of
oh,
leaded
the leaded
gasoline,
gasoline.
and the lead crime hypothesis is starting to hold up all over the world as you see. Once you get 20 years after leaded gasoline has been banned, crime rates start to precipitously decline. And it also makes sense from a scientific standpoint, because what lead poisoning does is it inhibits your
Like the
what's the
forebrain.
word for not being able to your
Inhibitions.
impulse control.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
It vastly, even a little bit of lead poisoning can
Well,
permanently inhibit your impulse control.
Yeah.
yeah, and just
So
to
like
just to
right
complete.
now, 50-year-olds in the United States are more violent than 50-year-olds in the United States have ever been. But teenagers in the United States are less violent than teenagers have ever been.
Well, good things guns are so highly regulated in the United States. Sorry, I
That
didn't mean
makes it
to.
a whole
No, no,
other,
no, keep it
but
real. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's certainly a factor, but it's also like just thinking about the ways in which this situation has changed, the political situation has changed. It's not because you had superheroes swooping in to stop the violence, because we didn't have those, but it's because of a tireless army of people whose whole role in life
Right.
was to help reduce the causes of, you know,
Yeah, and I'm
yeah,
I'm glad you bring that up. I really am because Lord knows I don't oftentimes spend too much time
social
speaking
workers,
back.
teachers.
I don't oftentimes spend too much time speaking directly back to the racist when they create their false narratives about, like, what about black on black crime and all that
God,
nonsense. But
yeah,
that being said, right, like, uh if these questions were being asked in good faith, my response would specifically be, black people have always in the community been active in not only confronting crime, but also trying to deal with the roots of it and everything, with no real support, you know what I mean,
yeah.
from external. So it's like, it's the double sting of that, like, what about black on black crime lie narrative, is
Because they don't
that
care about what actually has
we
been
are
done.
we are addressing it, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
It's like but that's not convenient to people who would rather just be like, you
yeah,
guys are all dangerous and, like, blah blah blah. So
they're not arguing in good faith.
yeah.
Yeah, which it's God, yeah. I mean, it's a Lord knows it's a difficult topic, and it's more relevant than ever. And it's, oh boy, America.
You
Yeah,
know,
but it's
I'm going to jump back a second again, and I don't know, Marcus, you'll have to answer if they start using it more in the comics. I think they've touched on it. Because we talked a little bit about um with George Floyd, you saw it.
yeah,
And we're in another era where you're seeing it. And the reason I say another era is um that was a major turning point in the civil rights era, was when the cameras were in
Bloody
Selma.
Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Edmund Pettus
When the
Bridge.
nation watched.
So yeah. So all right, so wait, did you have a specific question, or you were, because
Um,
you
I mean, my specific question is, was it ever, or I mean, was it dumb luck that the cameras were in Selma, or was
all
there
right,
a
so
period that that we
No, no,
televised more of
I can.
that
Well, I can
and
definitely
then went
speak to
away
that.
from it?
No,
And
no, I can.
second, are they
Yeah.
are they are they doing the camera phones in the Milestone universe? I don't remember if I noticed any of it in
So,
static.
so,
Um,
yeah. I mean, cameras are definitely present. But I guess in regards to your question about like the actual history, like and it's an interesting connection between like the violence happened in Selma, the Edmund Pettus Bridge and Bloody Sunday being televised, and how that was a turning point for mainstream America's empathy, or approximation of empathy for Black people, right? But it always drove me crazy though that it's like you have to see. I say almost like how many heads do you have to see being split open before you're like, oh yeah, these people are kind of human beings too. But
Yeah.
yeah,
in addition to that, like, because I do, as much as I was heartened to see a more diverse group of people protesting and being awakened in 2020, there is the reality, right, that um George Floyd's killing resonated because it was, I mean, we're we die at the hands of police violence. Like it happens. It wasn't isolated, but oftentimes it's a shooting, or many times people being shot in the back. And all these other situations, right? But and many of those have been caught on camera. To the extent where in South Carolina there was that one man who was shot in the back, didn't realize he was caught on camera, and then you like literally saw him moving, moving his taser to act as though so he could create a story saying like, oh, he took my taser, even though it wasn't the case, and the camera proved it. That being said, what I was getting at, right, is these shootings, there's all these narratives that have been baked in, right, which is like, well, they have a split second, so he could have did a Spider-Man flip and spun around and shot somebody, but George Floyd's killing was so slow and brutal, like, you know what I mean? And you see that there's like 9 minutes where different choices could be made at any point in that time. You see, this man uh grinning with his hands in his pocket while these guys knee on him. So, in a lot of ways, you're drawing the connection between those two events. Um, it's really on point because it's like they both were especially heinous, you know what I mean? And but also for me, I can't help but look past all of the other instances that were ignored. To your question also
who
just
was
about
the
the
one was it
cameras.
Eric Garner in New York?
Oh
Oh my
God.
God, it's countless. Look, there's
No,
so
but
many. But
that's
yeah,
like an
Eric Garner was choked
almost
out in New York. Yes.
identical situation, right? Including the video,
Hmm.
and I
Yeah.
mean, what was the difference in
It
time
was it
of
was slower. It
coverage?
was it was it was slower. Um, you know, and also like I can't look. I try not even to take in the narratives of, people like the cursed individual who's running for
Right.
president that you mentioned before. But like, these are like specifically like racist narratives where they're always playing devil's advocate,
Right.
pun intended, about the reasons why these killings are justified. You know what I
The
mean? And
the
that's not to
the
say,
the subway Samaritan
oh yeah, yeah. But and you know, and
Oh God.
says
you know,
people who have never read the Bible
right.
and don't know the
And so
story of the Good Samaritan.
Yeah,
right.
I mean there are a lot of narratives that we could be bringing up here, but it's a little bit like we only really it's however many examples we bring up of Black men being brutally murdered on camera, it doesn't change the basic issue that
But
Marcus is talking about.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
like
I guess it's just going through my head, because I just did a quick write up on John Lewis for students in a class that I'm involved in. So, I had that in my head.
Mhm.
Um, but B, I think it that much more sets the stage for this current Milestone universe. You can't be human and not know about this stuff. So you certainly can't be a young Black man in the United States today and not be aware
Right.
There are no bubbles left.
Wait, what do you mean?
I mean,
No, we're all there. We are very. You mean as far as people being in their own bubbles?
no,
Uh,
I mean, I don't think like when I grew up, if you happened to be that black kid that grew up in a white suburb that treated you well enough, and you could believe that, oh, there isn't systemic racism. You would have been wrong, and I've known enough of those people that the second they were outside of their bubble learned it. But with the way cameras are everywhere, with the level that we actually have some semblance of dialogue now, I don't think that bubble
I,
exists anymore.
I mean,
if if
I think you're
you live part of
speaking.
it.
I think you're speaking as a liberal and progressive individual. I think we very much have bubbles, and like once you step outside of that liberal bubble, no, it is
No,
wild the stuff people
I
believes and the extent to. I know you know that.
you
You know what
think
I mean?
you think there are young black men that believe that, though. That's what I'm saying.
Believe what?
In 1994, it
Well,
was possible for Miles not to be dialed in, or not Miles,
Virgil.
no,
Virgil not
no.
to be
Well,
completely dialed in.
I
I, I don't
yeah,
I
I think
don't know if you could be a young black man now and possibly not be dialed in.
no. I mean, look, it's. I think I've told you like black people are people, right? So
Well, yeah,
we have a range. No, I think people have a range of what they know. And if you think about like, nah, there's a lot of time, and you don't have to be in a white environment. You can be in a very black environment, but sometimes it's like the immediacy of your life and your situation. Maybe you're not dialed into the political situation. And I mean, it's one of the things about the
but
populace
the
in
cop
general.
situation.
What's
I
that?
mean, because that the cop situation, because I mean
No,
that's
I
really
mean,
the
I
part of the politics
sure. Yeah. But
that's being dealt with in static.
yeah, I mean, I suppose, I think the way we originally, because we really,
Yeah,
we really went on a
I'm
wild tangent.
sorry. This
But no,
is
it's all
this is what
good. No,
happens
no,
when you
but
have half
no.
of a concussion
All right,
brain.
but like, hold on one second. But like to your point, in static, I think the way we originally got to this point, it's not that because like I said, black people were having conversations about police violence, in
Oh, absolutely.
1993. And it factors. I mean, Rocket made the joke at the end of Icon issue 1. You know what I mean, about the police and Superman not getting surrounded by the police in the same way. So it was present, but I think the way we originally got on this subject is just that. In this current iteration of the Milestone universe, one of the biggest updates was just kind of like what's going on, and it's not necessarily
Well,
that these issues
and
weren't.
this is
It's not
just
necessarily
me,
that these issues weren't going on
right?
back then, but it's more a matter of, I guess what is the discussion that's happening. Also,
Yeah.
I can't stress enough that like, I definitely want to give props to Vita
Yeah,
Ayala on this because
they're doing
really
amazing.
they really captured, I think, what, because Vita's a young adult, but
Hmm.
they're young enough and just in the community enough where they captured maybe the voice of kids today, specifically, because a lot of times with comics, black or white in general, you can always feel sometimes when adults are like, yeah, I can tap into the
Trying to be
kids, I can tap
right.
into the youth, you know what I mean? But like, I actually think it was well done here. And even just kind of like the concerns that a kid might have today. So yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
guess where I was going, and I like that you brought up Rocket and the original, because when I read the original, I see Rocket's eyes are wide open from the beginning, and if anything, she's having to understand people like Icon and where they come from. Um, Whereas Virgil is in a slightly different environment, slightly different whatnot. So he's more of the, oh my God, this shit is going on in my world.
He's a
Whereas
little bit sheltered in
yeah,
some
in the
ways.
new Milestone, it feels like both of them are much more socially aware from the get-go.
Well, it's interesting because Yeah, I think there's something to what you're saying. That being said, you actually just really made the case for what's always been really dope about Milestone in '93 and in 2023, which
Right.
is that um like I said, like black people are diverse, right? And
Oh
like
yeah.
the black people in Milestone are no different. Like, you know,
Right.
right? Even today, even though we're talking about like Virgil having like, and I would say Virgil has maybe a sense of social responsibility. Rocket had that like right out of the gate in
Right.
'93 and
Yeah.
now, you
Oh
know,
yeah. Oh yeah.
and but like even I wouldn't say they're like their voices are different, you know what I mean? And even how where they come to these different issues are different. For instance, we'll get to Icon and Rocket, you know, soon, but
Next month.
but in Icon and Rocket, um her focus is really because like, you know, like Rocket lives in the projects. So like her, even though they're both concerned with black issues and maybe community and everything, her focus is inherently going to be slightly different than Virgil's. You know what I mean? Just because
Right.
of their environments and their situations are a
Yeah.
little bit different, you know. So she's kind of got a sense of immediacy with it when it comes to like cleaning up the block and the inherent dangers that are affecting her community, you know, with drugs and everything. And I won't spoil it, but
Hmm.
it definitely, you know, they definitely get into the complications of like, oh, it's not that easy to come, you know, boom bap zip zop and like, you know, clean up crime like that. Like there's complications and things that they run into. You know, so but that being said, like yeah, they both are socially aware, but they're also kids. Like Rocket is a kid, you
Yes.
know. So and then you know, Blood Syndicate, just within the Blood Syndicate, there's such a range of outlooks, views, baggage that everybody brings. So it's one of the things that I've just always loved about Milestone is that, you know, there's no well, because you have like, you know, black people and people of color creating these stories, it's not somebody else trying to approximate like, oh, black guys think like this, black women think like this. Like, you know what I
It's
mean? Like
never a
you really get the
monolith.
range. Yeah.
Yeah, no
No.
no group is a monolith in Milestone. And that's, I mean,
Well, it shouldn't be.
yeah, exactly. With and this is actually, I mean, this is something I want to save for next time we talk about it, because this is something about Icon and Rocket. But Icon and Rocket, from what I saw in the issues that were included in this volume, which is like the Milestone
Hmm.
Infinite #0, and I think there was another like some other issue that had a little bit of information about them. It's
Hmm.
almost like it almost feels like the situations are reversed with Icon and Rocket, in that Icon is like, now that he's come out and exposed himself to the world, he's like traveling over the globe, smashing up drug syndicates and things like that. Whereas and Rocket is kind of being pulled along for the ride. Whereas what I really liked a lot in Icon and Rocket in the original Milestone was their dynamic, in that Rocket was the one who was sort of the current, she was the one who was tuned into what the kids were saying. She was the one
Yeah.
who was talking about current black issues.
It
And
still happens.
Icon,
Yeah.
yeah, well, and Rocket was our Icon was a little bit not not behind the times.
Oh
He was
no,
thinking in broader
no. Like
terms.
yeah, and so I have oh man. I'd
This is
actually
maybe we should say this for next time. I don't want
like to
to.
get a I'd like to get a panel of black people to talk about Icon Rocket. I mean, you guys,
Yes.
obviously you guys as well, but I have so
No, but I recognize I'm not the guy to.
no, no, no,
I.
no, no, no. I don't even mean that. Like, I'm not even saying that. Like, Ted, stop talking about it. What I actually mean is, I have because I've had debates about Icon Rocket, and there's you know there's
Mm.
a lot of black folks that are like, oh, I can't stand Icon because like you know he's Republican. He's kind of spinning this narrative, this bootstraps narrative, and everything, and it is tired. That being said, Icon does grow, and the push and pull of Rocket and Icon has always been, yeah. What's that?
Are we talking about classic Icon of Rocket, or modern Icon of Rocket? Because I feel like
But
there's
I
a.
mean both, but I was talking about classic. But
Hmm.
yeah, like but yeah, with classic Icon and Rocket, you know, that push pull was interesting thing. And she did make him grow. And you know, so it's interesting. And that being said, I will say like Rocket is it's with the new series, it's less that like because Rocket is the one that's like, yo, we gotta handle this, and she pushes him, you know. But I think because uh because we have been I'm speaking for black folks, like, you know, have had many critiques over the years about Icon and his, you know, bootstraps Republican outlook. I think they did slightly update him, and he still is mostly coming from that place, but it's I mean, I would say less so. The other thing which I would point out is even classic Icon, he had his own, it's not that he didn't have any type of, like, pro-black sentiments, or Icon worked on the Underground Railroad and everything. That being said, like, times change, you know what I mean? So, like, there is a way in which maybe he's still on Booker T. Washington when everybody else, when, and when for a lot of us in, say, 1993, we had seen, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Stokely Carmichael, you know what I mean? Like, just the Panthers, just a wide range of black ideas about, like, revolution and freedom, and like what that could look like.
Yeah.
So,
The
so
bootstraps model was, yeah.
so he's kind of, so he's inherently dated. And then they also did interesting things with see, now I'm getting the whole Icon
No, this is
discussion.
fascinating. I
But
mean,
they,
this is
yeah,
what Milestone like facilitates as a conversation. And this
right.
is again like part of why I love old school Icon and Rocket so much, because it was a very it was, a guy who he's all for equality, and that just means everybody has the chance to succeed, which is a
Mm,
very old school way of looking at it,
right.
and a very not quite out of touch, but it doesn't acknowledge systemic inequalities in a way that really that Rocket does. And anyway, sorry, and now I'm
Mhm.
interrupting you, but
Yeah, no. I'm good. I'm done, because I was going on and on, but yeah.
yeah, but like there's a whole lot to love about Milestone and all its different iterations, and the fact that we've been spending all this time without ever even like recapping what happens in
Talking
these
about static. Yeah,
is,
yeah.
is just like
This
because
is
that's
new enough that I actually am in favor of that. The old ones, it's one thing. They have to go
we have to be reminded of what
buy the
exactly
whole
happened.
big thing or whatnot. You want to know what happened in Static Season 1 rather than just our thoughts on Static Season 1? Go buy the damn graphic novel.
Yeah,
Give them
I
your
mean,
money.
and this is also, but I will say, I mean,
Or go
if
to
you,
the library. Libraries are
ooh,
also
hey, there
cool.
we go. Support your local library.
Mhm.
The one thing I will say that made me a little bit I wish it had been handled a little bit differently in season one was the way that they used Hot Streak, because I mean it's fitting that I mean yeah, Hot Streak is a great villain in the original Static series. He's a great villain in general. Like he's the racist bully who also then gets cool superpowers, and then it's part of Static's process of growing up is learning how to stand up to him, but
Mhm.
like he stays just sort of a not a nobody, but kind of a two-bit, it's a minor threat, an annoyance after that. And I like him in that role. Whereas in season one, they do this thing where he suddenly like joins the cops. Like he
I
becomes
kind of I
Sounds
kind of appreciated
about
that.
right.
I can tell you why I appreciate that, but go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts. But go
well,
ahead.
I mean, I kind of feel like the cop should have been well, I don't know, maybe I I can see how it's an interesting idea, because then it's a thing where it's saying, oh yeah, these kids who are white supremacists, who are, racist bullies in high school will grow up to be the racist FBI agents or whatever agents these people are of the future.
And or just look at how DHS was being used contemporary to this
Oh
being
God, yeah.
written,
They're going to be the immigration enforcers and everything
and
else. And
who was being.
ugh.
I mean, for that matter, you want to really fuck with your head? Go look at what is it, Project 2025
Oh
from the
God,
Heritage
please don't remind me.
Foundation.
That one really that
I
terrifies
mean,
me.
so
That's a whole
that
other.
that aspect of it is comics being what they've always been, which is like right there on the cutting edge of truth.
Mm.
Yes.
Things that the world's not ready for yet.
Yeah. I mean, I
I
do
mean,
like how.
even half of the. I mean, as much as uh, Marcus was talking about the issues with old X-Men, and I agree. Um,
I love X-Men, but yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
no, but nobody else was talking about those issues actually. I mean, in that sphere, nobody else was talking about those issues in black and white either.
True. But I think it's and as a person, some of my best friends are X-Men. But no, it's all serious. As an X-Men fan, what I can say is I really appreciated it. And you know, that being said, there the difference, right, in maybe like the breadth of um commentary that you might get in some of these stories, it just really is evidence of the fact that when you let a wider group of people of, you know, diverse backgrounds tell
Oh,
their own
absolutely.
stories, you're going to get more complete stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're going to get some stories that ring true, you know.
Yeah.
And I want to be so clear. Yeah, well, I don't have to keep apologizing. I love X-Men, you know,
Yeah.
unequivocally. And I have critiques about it. You know what I mean? So like,
I think for the most part, things that we don't love, we don't spend a lot of time figuring out critiques.
yeah, I don't. There's a
Yeah.
whole side of the internet that like runs to the things they don't love.
Well,
And
but
trying
are
to
they
find
really
critique. Yeah.
critiquing them?
Huh?
Are they really
What's that?
critiquing them?
Eh, they're crying for monetization.
They're trying to find a way to be mad at things.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's a difference between critique and
Yeah, yeah.
shouting at your top of your lungs that this is
I feel you.
evil or making our children
whatever.
something.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
True, true.
that's actually the part of the right that makes me most sad right now is that what low opinions they have of their own children, that they
Ugh.
think that they will be swayed and turned into horrible people by books.
Have I?
Yeah, it's go ahead.
I was just wondering, have I brought up have I brought up Martin Barker and his writings on
Yes.
identification before? Okay. Yeah, I mean,
I don't.
for people
Can you
who had,
refresh me on?
Yeah,
yeah,
well, you brought it up when we were talking, I think,
when we had on
with
the
Nate and Tim and
yes,
Andrew
Oh, cool
and
people.
yeah, no,
Oh yeah,
no,
I missed that one. Oh,
not the cool people.
the
Comics for
psychopharmacology.
oh okay.
psychopharmacology was there too,
Yes,
but did you bring it up with psychopharmacology or did you bring it up when we were talking comics for social change?
that might have been it. But
Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, so this is a guy I just recently discovered, a Martin Barker, who he wrote a fair amount on comics back in the like 70s and 80s, and more specifically about comics in the UK, which is like a thing that hasn't really been written about
right.
at all.
Now I'm
Um
remembering because his book is like
yeah,
crazy expensive.
all his books are massively out of print. He did it later in his life. He wrote he like contributed to some books that were like the, you know, the philosophical underpinnings of Game of Thrones or something, where it was like pop
Hmm.
culture, that kind of stuff. But he wrote a couple of books, and I'm completely blanking on the title of the one that I'm thinking of. But there was one where he talks about the notion of,
Action, the story of a violent comic, maybe.
could be, he talks about the idea of identification and in like a really broad term, because
Hmm.
that's the
Or
term that gets used.
comics, ideology, power, and
Yes.
critics.
Comics, colon, ideology, power of the critics. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, because he talks about how he talks about
Available
censorship a
for
lot.
only $104 in paperback on
Oh
Amazon.
God, I think I got it for a little bit cheaper from Bookshop, but I don't remember. But he talks specifically about identification and how that term is weaponized by censors, because
Hmm.
they'll say things like, you know, kids identify with, you know, these violent comics, and that turns them violent. And he really kind of pinpoints the idea of like, what does identification mean when we're
Mm.
talking about a person reading a fictional character?
Right.
Because there's sort of a gut feeling and instinctual reaction of like, oh yeah, they identify. Yeah, I know what that means. But we don't
Hmm.
really get precise enough, because it can mean in practice a lot of things. It can
Right.
mean I think I am similar to this character and I want to emulate them. It can
Hmm.
mean I think this character is cool and I want to be more like them. It can mean I see my struggles in this person. It can mean I am not like this person, but I empathize with their scenario, their
That's the one they're afraid of.
yes, there's a lot of, well, but they couch it also in terms of like, if your kids see, I mean, this has been going back to Frederick Wortham. If they see Batman beating up on criminals, they're going to beat up on people too. You know, if they see a drug addict in one of
Mm.
those horrible crime comics of the 60s,
A-
or 50s, they're going to go out and cut up some junkie's eyeball too, because that's how
Mm.
kids work.
As you bring up Wortham, I need to plug a couple of things. First, if you're in Chicago, Innocence of Seduction, Mark Prott's second
Yes,
installment of the Four Color Trilogy, is currently playing at the City Lit Theater through October 2nd.
I
It is
saw that.
amazing. Sean Harkleroad, who is also a regular on the show as part of the Comic Strip Book Club, is playing Bill Gaines. I loved it. I will be going again. Secondary plug, they are literally live on Word Balloon right now, and since we're
Oh, man.
recorded, they won't be live when you're listening, but they will be archived. So when you're done listening to us, go back and listen to them on our podcast, but then go listen to them on Word Balloon too, because John asked really good questions. So I'm certain that they're killing it. It looks like they're killing it. They look like they're having a good time. John's laughing. I've got it going on my phone.
Oh, you've got like the
can't
live
hear
stream
it,
in the
but
corner. Oh my God.
yeah,
Yeah, you're
well,
really
they're my buddies, so I just
Yeah.
had to pull it up. I'll start
get you.
listening when we're done. But
But
then
yeah,
the other thing is the and I forget exactly who gave this testimony, but there was testimony given at the time that
yes.
pointed out that yes, 97% of juvenile delinquents read comics.
Yes.
97% of the juvenile delinquents that you studied read comics, but you
Right.
didn't ask the more important question. How many non-juvenile
Kids in
delinquents read
general,
comics?
yeah.
And
Right.
the answer is 99% of
Yes,
the
everybody loved
non-juvenile
comics.
delinquents.
My mom read comics at the time. Like yeah,
Right.
it was a widespread practice.
So if
But
anything, there was an argument that comic reading made you less likely to be juvenile.
yeah,
Well,
I mean, but they don't care about the statistics, of course. I'm sorry, I stepped on you.
No. I can be very brief. All I'm saying is one of the things in general I always caution people looking for easy answers for difficult questions often come to these wildly irresponsible places, and that's really what it comes down to. You know what
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean? Like,
Wait a minute.
yeah.
You're reminding me. Let me find the quote. You talk for a second because I want to get the quote right.
But yeah, I mean, the Martin Barker, again, like I wish his essay was more widely available because I kind of stumbled into it from somewhere else. But just like the way that he was saying, you know, when somebody is using this notion of identification as an excuse for, you know, censoring something or getting it out of a library or whatever,
Mhm.
that's like, ask yourself what they're really saying. Is this something that is teaching your kids to be gay? Or is it saying to your kids, hey, if you are gay, it's okay. You know,
Right.
if you have these feelings, you
Or
might
if
be
your
gay
friend
or
is
trans or whatever.
gay, you don't
Yeah.
have to hate them.
Exactly. Yeah. And
They
there's
still have
different
things in common with you.
Yeah, there's a lot of different. I mean,
That's
there's
Right.
there's a whole lot of different political ways we could talk
Well,
about
we've
this, but I
all-
just
yeah,
found
we-
his dissection of that topic I thought was really fascinating.
but
No, I'll have to
okay,
check that out.
I've got my quote here, and it's about school standards and test stickers or
Oof.
test scores, but I think it applies to what Marcus was just saying about simple answers. The late great Senator Paul Wellstone. How come you've got all the great senators in Minnesota?
I
Paul
wish I knew.
Wellstone, Al Franken,
Amy Klobuchar.
yeah. Making students accountable for test scores works well on a bumper sticker and allows many politicians to look good by saying they will not tolerate failure. But it represents a hollow promise. Far from improving education, high-stakes testing marks a major retreat from fairness, from accuracy, from quality, and from equity.
There's a great quote. So speaking of, you know, school and how it's starting up for me, hooray. We had a professional development seminar just recently where I gave a little bit of a talk about project-based learning, which is the idea of instead of just having them do a sheet of math problems, have them do something based on real world like design. Like, you know, given these figures, how big a house could you build? Or, you know, given this much material, how tall a fence could you build? You know, something a little more involved. And I used a quote, which is from like industrial management and design, which is what we measure, we improve. And what I pointed out was that another way to think about that is if you keep testing students, you teach them how to take the test. And that's a good way to think about it as well. It's like, they're really good at taking these standardized tests. Are they really good at creative thinking or critical thinking? Are they really good at this, that, and the other? We're getting into the education policy now. It's that time of night. We're a little bit loopy off of that. That doesn't have anything much to do with static.
I feel like we need to have a part 2 just about static.
Yeah, we could. I mean, God, we haven't even talked about his family because you brought this up really
Actually,
early, Marcus.
can we do that? Can we do that? It could even be a short episode. Not
again next month. Yeah, man, because you said that about his family being more present in the original.
Well, I figured we'd be spending 3 months on season 1 and it'll all muddy together.
It kind of will. I mean, we can tape.
I think it'll be cool because like we spoke about Static a little bit, but we even got into like old Static, arguably more than this one.
Yeah.
So it's up to you guys.
I will do whatever you guys. You know that I will take any excuse whatsoever to talk to the two of you guys. So it's your job to make your schedules work.
Yeah, man.
All right.
We could do another.
I'm almost never the reason we have to reschedule.
No, I know.
Almost.
Look, I will accept that wholeheartedly.
Hey, man, I
This-
better reschedule.
So my answer is yes. Make it happen. I'll be there.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, I mean, we just do it when we have the next one scheduled. We can just talk about Static.
Yeah, talk more about Static, and yeah, because there's so much to talk about. There really is. Like I know I've maybe been a little bit down on comparing this to original Static, but like there's so much to love about this. It's such a really good update of Static in so many ways, and it's so interesting to see where it's going to go and how they're going to change the character. And I mean, well, staying true to what the root of that character is.
One of the things that I find myself really curious about, and one of the reasons why, I mean, obviously the big reason why I've been in and out tonight is what I told you guys at the beginning. My brain like stopped 6 hours ago, and it's been kind of sputtering on and off since then. But the other reason that I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about, what I wanted to say tonight, and it's like, I don't know yet, because they tease just enough of Icon and Rocket, and they tease a ton of hardware.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to reading hardware.
I want to know how this all fits together.
Yeah.
Not just Static.
Yes, I do think that also part of this whole season 1 initiative means that there are a lot more connections. I mean, again, there were issue-based crossovers, and like Blood Syndicate would show up in Icon for a while, but like there's a lot more connection. I mean, but
really until Shadow War, they were almost separate books.
Right. But like I like that, there was a mention in this of Virgil was like the little Alva scholarship kid.
Right.
Yeah, he was like the Peter Parker to Kurt Connors.
Yes. Yeah. And so Kurt,
that was a really
Curtis
smart
was like
choice.
His mentor. Yeah, right. I love that.
So because he's a smart kid, he also happens to have access to Metcalf's secret lab.
Yeah.
Even though Metcalf is in the wind.
Yeah, he's got his own problems. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to those books. Yeah, but I mean, I like how all these new Milestone books are tying together in a really cool way.
And I also like, I mean, that occurred to me earlier, and you guys went off in a different direction, and I love the direction you were going in, so I didn't interrupt, and I forgot about it until right now. When we were reading the original Milestone, it started with hardware.
That's right.
Now, even though we have hints of a similar thing going on with hardware from the Zero issue, we're ending with hardware. We're doing Static and Icon and Rocket, and then finding out what's going on with hardware.
Yeah,
and that's gonna be interesting.
I kind of like that dynamic.
Yeah, and actually, that's a good point. As we move forward, you'll see that like. Hardware is kind of central in that connective tissue.
Well, particularly because it's even more explicit here that he was involved.
Well, yes, with creating the bang.
Right. You'll read ahead. You'll see. But it's
So I mean, I like the way, but that also makes it harder for me to talk about it on the comic level versus the socio-political level, because it's like
I really do.
I don't totally know what I'm looking at yet. I love it, but
but that's why next time I think we will. I do want to discuss Static on the comic level too. Right. I mean, the political is always going to be there, but like,
and I'm certain, and I guess what I'm saying is I'm certain that there's like no chance that we won't, because it is so. It appears that these first 3 seasons, or the season 1s of these 3 books, are very much entwined.
Yeah, you could do both though. You could do both.
Right.
I just wanted to I mean, I'm always just gonna see the political side of things, but we can still.
No, I meant there's no chance that we won't talk more about Static the comic in talking about the other ones.
Oh yeah,
because they're
they're intertwined. Yeah. Well, I mean that kind of leaves us in a good place to sign off for the night, because I got to say I'm looking forward to the morning. It's going to be exciting. But
now I can go listen to Sean and Mark on that,
Oh yeah.
that other podcast that
Yeah.
that people should go listen to. I'm not afraid to plug other people on my podcast.
No,
Go
you should
listen to Word
definitely, yeah.
Balloon. John Suntress does really good stuff. And if you want to hear me embarrass myself, go listen to our interview with John Suntress, where he actually calls me out for talking over him. And rightfully so.
It's,
What?
it's nice to have a professional call out for things like that. That's true. That's fair.
So,
But yeah, no, this was great. I'm looking forward to talking more about season 1 of a lot of things next week or next month.
Yeah.
Or the same.
More
month,
static.
actually. Yeah.
Rocket and Icon.
Yeah.
Hopefully no insanity.
I mean, we will have gone through a month of school at that point. We can't promise anything.
Well, I will have gone through almost 2 months of school.
Oh,
at
that's
that
right.
point.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in
And
any
I
case,
got my first
yeah.
major brain test next Sunday.
Oh, that's good.
I have Pearl Jam tickets.
Is that the brain test? Is that the form it takes these days?
I got to see if I can handle loud music.
Oh, I see.
Live,
There we
man.
go. Yeah. Nice. Well, cool though. Yeah, there's so much to talk about. There always is. I'm really glad we had a chance to go through it. Yeah, man.
And one of these
Yeah,
days,
definitely.
I'm going to feel like I'm totally present for one of these again. I thank you guys
You will
so
be.
much for
You will
being
be.
great when I'm not and just carrying it and putting up with me popping in, sometimes not even really on topic because
Hey,
I didn't catch everything that you were saying.
we all have elements to contribute. You know how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I feel like I should just like get over my ego and go, yeah, sure, you're the host of the show, but just shut the hell up. You say goodnight at the end. Let the brothers Anderson take it from here.
It's nice to have a producer. I mean, that could be, yeah.
That's my new role.
It takes a village, man. We're all contributing in our own ways.
Yeah. But having said that, thanks
That
for
was a
joining
good
us at
book.
22 panels.
Underrated book.
Oh, I was actually just
Yeah.
referring to the idea of the village more so than Hillary. I
Okay.
mean,
Yeah.
she's cool, but that's not.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
For the brothers Anderson, not related. This has been the 22 Panels Milestone Book Club. We will see you after the next page.
Hey guys, this is Tyler from 22 Panels. I'm here to tell you all about our Patreon. If you enjoy this show, please consider donating to our Patreon to keep this show going. We have many different tiers, all different levels to help you decide what's right for you. Okay, so get on out there to patreon.com/22panelspodcast.